Well, hello and welcome to Jamie TV. Thank you very much for being here. I'm not really usually the kind of musician who jams around with stuff like that. That's kind of a bit of a new thing for me, using this kind of pad and a clip launcher. I've used LK as a DAW actually within AUM before, but not sort of for live jamming. That's not really kind of the way I normally play. And yet, setting this thing up for this stream, I've actually really enjoyed it. So before I go any further, if you are watching live, then please put something in the chat. Give me a hello so I can say hello to some people. If you are watching from the future, then hello from the past. Anyway, let's see who's here. All right, Semtex Cow is here. Dude, Mateus is here. Thanks for joining us again, Mateus. Sean is here. Grant is here. And Sam's just joined us. Hi, Sam. Is it live or is it Memorex? Well, you know, I'm feeling reasonably alive today. Yes, thank you, Sam. Thanks for being here. Now, the reason I wanted to do this stream is because, you know, there's kind of on the market, when we're talking about, oh, hi, Dean. Thanks for being here. Let's just have a view of this. Now, which button is it? Press the right button. Come on. Which one is it? Let me just go to this button here, right? So this kind of pad. You can see LK there in the background on my newest iPad on the M1. This kind of tempo pad, this sort of 16 pad thing with some extra buttons on the side, they're pretty common. There's lots of different makes, lots of different, designs by different companies. And, when you're taking a look at them and trying to decide, which one might be for you, well, there's not that much difference between them. And so you might be tempted to sort of go for one of the more established names. This is made by Synido. Synido is not quite such a well-established, well-known company. Well-named, I nearly said. Yeah, well, actually, I'm saying Synido. I think that's how you say it. I'm not really sure. But anyway, so I wanted to give my point of view on this controller because I've had it a few weeks actually, and I've been using it on and off. And if you've been watching my Songtember streams, you will have seen me use it in my Songtember streams. And in one of them, I did actually do a little talk about this controller, sort of trying to give an overview of what this controller's value is to the iOS community. But the thing is actually, if I go to this view, yes, that's a better view. All right. But the thing is since then I've discovered a couple more things about it, which I think make it ultimately much more valuable to the iOS community. So I'm going to kind of go through the basics and everything I can tell you about it so that you can then decide whether this might actually be the controller for you. What I'm going to say is I've used other similar controllers. I've got a couple of other similar controllers. And if you are looking for one, if you are a finger drummer, then as far as the appropriate sensitivity for that kind of thing goes, then I don't think you can beat the Akai ones. They seem to be the most appropriate sensitivity-wise for that thing. However, I can't do that thing. I can't drum to save my life. Not on a kit, not on a set of pads. I don't want it for that. I really, more than anything, I want it for inputting drums while I'm recording my stuff. But other than that, I'm going to say this is the best one for iOS. So in this stream, I'm going to show you why. Hey, Princess, thanks for joining us. Now, what I'm going to do is I've opened up with a bit of a jam there, which I could have made a rather better job of. I think, personally. So my intention is to show you this project that I have in AUM with LK here later on in the stream, after I've shown you the basics and all the ins and outs of this controller. And yeah, we'll come back to that then. So then maybe I'll have another jam, and maybe I'll do it a bit better this next time. All right, so let's go to a more simplified project, and I'll show you the basics of this gadget. So use your mouse, you stupid hippie. Right, so I'll come out of here, and I have saved that, haven't I? Have I saved that project? I have saved that project. Yes, I have. Okay, then I can come out of it then. And if I go to files, I think I want this one. Right. Okay. Now, what I've done here is I have mapped this controller to both these AUV3s here. We've got Digistix 2 and we've got BA1, which is a wonderful synth. I'm really, really enjoying this synth a great deal. Now, if I go up to my mapping here, you'll see that I've mapped Synido pad 16, it's called in AUM apparently, to Digistix 2 and to the BA1. Right, so I've just sort of undone BA1 for now, just so that we've just got Digistix. Now, you will notice, although I'm not sure the camera's picking it up quite brilliantly, but if I just turn it to the camera like this, you'll see that all my pads are all different colours, right? Which is pretty cool, isn't it? And I've coloured them appropriately to what I was doing in LK there. I'm a really big fan of colour coding things. So the reds, they're all the different drum parts that I had. And the purples, or they'll look kind of pink on the camera. The purples are bass, because drums are red and bass is purple. And then the synthy sound, which was from DRC, that's they're green, and the parts that I've got for the other instance of DRC I made white because I'd already got a green, but synths are green. And then these blues across the bottom, I mapped these pads to LK's stop buttons so that I could stop each lane as and when I wanted to. And then you'll see here I can press pad bank, and I've got another bank of pads. Now, on this bank, the greens here, they're the ones that I've not mapped to anything. The yellows are two little MIDI parts that I was sending to my Donna B1. If we just go to overhead view, you'll see the Donna B1 over here. So I was controlling that with LK from the iPad as well. And the pinks over here, these are what I was sending to the Uno synth. And I was actually also using these knobs here to, I was adjusting the reverb on the BA1 with this. And with this knob, I was adjusting the reverb on the Uno synth, and I was using the Mooga Fuga delay, and I was adjusting the feedback in the delay with this control here. I'll talk more about those in a bit, but I will just mention while I'm on it, we do have another bank of pads here. If I press this, so there are 3 banks of pads. Now they should look blue. Maybe they'll look more blue in the side cam, which is that button there. Okay, yeah, they look a bit more blue on that camera, right? So we've got 3 banks of pads. So if anyone's good at maths, what's 3 lots of 16? I don't know. It's embarrassing how long it takes me to... Is that 48? Is that 48 pads? Right, so... And I'm going to show you how that's of great advantage in Digistix 2 in a bit. Right? Now, we've also to go... And you'll see round this knob here, right? Red is bank 1. Green is bank 2. and blue is bank 3. And then up here, we've actually got 3 banks of knobs, turny knobs, right? So we've got 48. Cool. Is that what I said? I can't even remember what I said now. Okay, so then we've got 3 banks of knobs. So again, we've got red, green, and blue banks of knobs. And there's a little light under them. I don't know if that's picking up on camera. There's a little light under each knob to let you know which bank is selected. It should be blue, and they're back to red. Okay, so it's pretty well set out in that way, but there are plenty of other similar pads that provide, similar features. There are some features that are not included on this pad on some of the others, and this pad has some that are missing from others. Like for instance, the Starry pad has 2 turning knobs and 2 faders, which might appeal more to some people. But I'm going to show you why I think that overall this is the best one for iOS. So why is it the best one for iOS? Well, first of all, I'm going to go to this view again here. You'll see coming out of the back of the controller here, we've got 2 USB-C leads. The reason for this is if you have one USB-C lead into your iPad, it may very well struggle to power it as well as exchange the data. So, but if you're going into a powered hub, you only need the one, right? So you'd come out of this one, that would go into your powered hub, that would transfer data, and it would power this pad. However, my powered hub is shockingly bad. It's a really cheap, shitty one that I should never have bought. But I did, and I'm skint and I can't afford another one. There's one that I would really want, that I would really like, that Jakob Hack has demonstrated. And I've contacted them and said I would like to volunteer to be a tester because they were looking for testers. But they've not got back to me, so I'm presuming that's a no, but you never know. You never know. Okay, so actually, no, I still need that view because, right, and so what happens is if you need to power this, let's say if you're going into the iPad with this cable, to get power to this unit so that it's nice and stable power-wise, you can just plug this USB-C straight into a wall socket. So those little white adapters that come with your iPhones and iPads, just plug it into one of them and stick it in the wall. And it's powered, it's nice and stable. So although I am actually using my powered hub at the moment to power my interface into the iPad, I don't want to add another thing to drain on it because it will sometimes crap out, and we don't want that, right? So now on the back also we have a power button and we have a MIDI out. That's one of those little cables that's like the tiny is like the same size as a stereo mini jack that comes out to a MIDI adapter. There's one that comes with this unit, which I should have got out to show you, and I have completely forgotten. But that's just so that, let's say if you wanted to run something like the Uno synth, because the Uno synth is really, really cool. There's a lot of great features, but the keys on it are obviously a bit pants. So if you wanted to operate that with the keys on this, then you could do that. You just come out of this MIDI cable into the adapter and into a normal MIDI lead and plug it into the tiny MIDI adapter that goes in the back of the Unisynth that comes with it. That sounded overly complicated. It's actually very, very simple. All right, now, what else have we got? So we've got that on the back, a power button. Underneath, the way this is constructed, because I thought, you know what, they're pretty cheap, these. Right? I thought it's probably going to be a bit sort of, cheap plastic. It's actually nice, solid plastic. It feels very, very robust. And underneath, the material is, if I can just can I get this in front of the camera without unplugging it? right? So it's a lovely purple colour, and it's also kind of a sort of a slightly rubbery plastic, which is brilliant because when you're using it on the desk, it doesn't move, right? Stays where it should be, and it feels kind of cushioned if you're really hammering on it. If you're really hitting the pads, you can feel that cushion. It's really, really well designed. So the extra USB-C connection for power, I think, is one of the features that makes it particularly good for an iOS user. Because, not everybody wants to use a powered hub, Also, some people have really, really shitty hubs and need to use extra power. So there's that too. Right, now let's open up Digistix, and let me just... Do you all have Digistix too? Is that an app that all of you in the chat have? I know most people have it. Now, the reason I'm using Digistix 2 to demonstrate this is because I have... Actually, let me just press this mode button here. I'll come back to what that's all about. I'm just going to press and hold it in, and you'll see the lights go out. I'll come back to what that's all about. Now, in Digistix 2, you've got multiple banks of drums. So if I use my mouse, you'll see here, right, we've got 16 drum sounds. But if I go up here and press bank 2, or bank B rather, we've got 16 more. Mac user. Okay, well, Princess, almost everything I'm saying in this demonstration applies to Mac users and desktop users. Almost. But what I'm trying to do is to show why this pad is particularly good for iOS users. It's still great for desktop people, but for iOS users, there are little problems relating to using controllers, and Synido, I think, have done a really good job of getting around that and making this one specifically very, very good for iOS people. Right, so we've got another 16 drum sounds, and then we've got another bank, and there's some more sounds in here. Now, in this particular kit, not all these sounds are full. These ones are blank, right? But if I do this, you'll see here, right, my pad bank button is red. And so if I go to bank A, now you'll see these pads light up, hopefully, as I press the pads. Right? And then if I go to pad bank green, press B up here, you can see I can play all those ones as well. And then there's my third bank, so I can play these ones. So if you're doing a performance, I mean, this is not me. It's not something I would normally think about doing. But if you're into live performance and you're wanting to access more than one bank quickly without it interrupting what you're doing, you can very easily do it with this button. And the same applies for these twisty knobs, because you just, you might have assigned these four to whatever, and then you just press the button, you go onto the green bank, you can assign it 4 more times, and onto blue. So you can assign to 12 different things with 4 twisty knobs, which I think is pretty cool. How much is it? I actually don't know exactly how much it is, but I could do a search here and tell you how much it would be, say, in the UK. Let's have a look. I need my keyboard. Right, hang on. Synido tempo pad. I can tell you as well that if you decide you like it and you want to get one, if you use the underneath the video, you'll see I've got a list of things where you can get where you can get money off where manufacturers have provided codes for things. So if you go from my link, you get a bit of money off. There's one of those for this down there. Right, so if I go to shopping, well, let's have a look on Amazon. Okay, can I share that screen? I think I can. There we are. £74.55. So if you use my link, it'd be like that with a percentage off. I can't remember what the percentage is. I'm useless today. But obviously, that's UK price. I don't know what it is wherever you guys happen to be from. Okay. Now, I'm on the wrong view now, aren't I? I want this view. Yeah, I want that one. Okay. I recently, Jade Star's advice, changed my the way my OBS is set out and what my different screens are and everything, which of course has meant that all the buttons have changed. In the on my old iPad, I use what's it called as a Stream Deck? What's it called? It's called OBS Blade. I use it as a Stream Deck, and of course all the buttons have moved now, and I'm not used to it. So apologies if I keep getting the wrong screen. 15 quid off. Is that what I've got off? Okay. Yeah. I don't get anything from that. That's just an offer for people who watch my channel. It's not affiliate link. Right. So now I've shown you how the pads will work. The 3 banks work in Digistix, right? Now I'll show you what you can do as far as some live playing here. So if we go back to bank 1, and I'll just move that mouse out of the way so I don't press the wrong thing. Right. Let's see now. Okay, I've got a kick drum there, right? Now, if I press, where are we? If I press tap tempo, right? I'll tap myself a little tempo in. Press it twice, put note repeat on and hold down the kick drum. Oh, I took note repeat off. Stupid hippie. There we go. Now we can change that. Actually, let me just see if I can bring this. I'm going to use the side camera, right, and see if I can bring this into the camera. Now you'll see underneath the pads there's a number for the pad, and then also there's in kind of grey writing. It's easy enough for me to see it's at here, but it's not showing very well on the camera. There you go. Right, so at this side there's a sort of grey text that tells you what each function does. If you hold down note repeat and then press a pad, and it will change certain functions. So I'll give you a demo. It'll be better than my rubbish explanation. So if I press note repeat and then this pad here, we've got quarter notes. Right, then if I press note repeat and this pad here, we've got eighth notes. And this one should give us 16. I regret pressing the cymbal pad. Alright, and then 30-second notes. Okay, now we've also got some pads that will give us some swing. So these are dotted notes and these are swing. So let's have a couple of examples of swing. Hold down note repeat, press this one. Right, let's try another one. Different degrees of swing. All right, let's have a dotted note. Semtex Cow says, I love my Uno synth, but I'm thinking of selling because the moment it's plugged into a USB hub, it buzzes like a beehive. Got a USB isolator coming, fingers crossed it helps. I'm going to show you something. Right, okay, so I'm going to show you something. Let me just change my view here. Now, what's the best view for this? I'm not sure, actually. Maybe I can move this camera a little bit for you. Right, in fact, if I stay on this view, over here, you will see, right, here's my little mixing desk for when I'm streaming, my iRig Pro Duo. Here's my iRig Stream over here. That's how I get the audio into the desktop for the stream. And then over here is an M audio interface that I'm using on the desktop at the moment. Underneath it is a very, very cheap, very old Behringer DI box. And all I do with the Uno synth, because I know exactly what you mean, I had exactly the same problem. All I do is the Uno synth, the audio comes out of the Uno synth into the DI box, and then the XLR cable comes out of the back of the DI box into the front of my iRig Pro Duo, and it eliminates all of that hum. And it's one of those really, really cheap quality DI boxes that Behringer made. I didn't even buy it. I acquired it from somewhere. It belonged to somebody. I don't know. I can't remember, but it belonged to someone else, and I ended up with it. And I thought, you know, I'm never going to use that for anything, right? But for that one job, it's awesome. And hum is gone. Right, now then, let's see. What else do I want to show you? I want to show you this. Now, if I go to mode, I need to have this on screen. Right. In fact, no, I'm going to go with that one. Right, so here's my mode button, right? If I go like, if I press this down and hold it in, you'll see all the keys light up. So this is just down to user preference. Some people prefer it if... I didn't mean to do that. That's the next thing, right? So some people prefer it if the pads are just greyed out, and when you press them, they'll light up. Well, let me take note repeat off. Right. I like it when they're lit up all the time because they look cool. So you just press and hold the mode button. This I actually didn't know about until the other day, because I don't read manuals, because I have kind of a bit of a difficulty with that sort of thing. So I discovered it by accident the other day. So you press and hold mode button and everything lights up. So when you set, I'll show you the software soon. When you set what colors you want the pads to be in the software, that applies to either what color it's going to be backlit or what color it will light up. So if it's lit up, when you hit it, it goes grey while you hold it down. Okay, so it just reverses it basically. Now, I want to show you the other mode, but I've forgotten to tell you about the velocity type. So, velocity type, I'll just tell you quickly, it's fairly obvious, it speaks for itself really. You'll see there are 4 colours as I press the velocity type button. There's white, blue, green, and red. Now, when you're on white, you just get very, very quiet, right? And then that was blue. Now, the others allow you varying different degrees of sensitivity. Now, this would be, as opposed to the way that this is done on the Starry Pad by Donna, that just gives you the option of sensitivity between 0 and 127 for each pad, or you can press a button that gives you like full volume all the time. This gives you varying different degrees in between. So super quiet, bit louder, and full on. So, you know, a bit more versatile, really, this one. Okay, so now I can go back to mode. Right, so mode. It's got three functions, really. You've got grade, but backlit. You've got lit up all the time, or the other function is it becomes a keyboard. I'll just turn this into camera again so you can see this a bit more clearly. Now, when it becomes a keyboard, you will see the white notes are yellow and the black notes are blue, and these buttons up here are octave buttons. So let me just go over to here, and we'll go to an appropriate view on the screen. There we are, right? BA1. Get rid of Digistix for a moment. Let's have a look at BA1 because it's really awesome and cool. There we go. Right, so is that going to be a bit loud? Maybe I should just pull it down a little. That's not so bad. Okay. Right, now. Excellent playing, Jamie. Hit all the wrong notes, why not? Okay, right, and then let's just take it up an octave with the top right hand side button. And again. I think that's as high as it goes. Let's try one more time. Oh no, there we are. I just gave it a bit of a pissy pants press, that's all. Will it do another? Right, that's as high as it goes, I think. Right, so that's pretty cool because you can be launching things using like the other set of pads, using the other mode, and you can then switch over and you can play a melody, you know, or you can be playing some drums with the other set of pads and just switch over with the mode button. And so it's pretty cool. You can get a lot out of one little device. I think it's pretty awesome. Now we've also got transport buttons. I'll talk about them in a bit. What I should do is I should show you the software, because this is the thing that really makes this special for iOS users. One of the problems I've found with controllers is you get a controller and you plug it into your iOS device and it works fine, you know, it's cool. But then you want to change like the MIDI channel it's on, or you want to change what the little twisty turny knobs do, what CC messages you're sending out. And so then you need to download the desktop software, plug it into your desktop, change all those things on your desktop, and then unplug it again and plug it back into your iOS device. So if you're like me and you keep changing your mind about how you want it to be set up, you're forever unplugging it and plugging it into desktop. And you know, not every iOS user has a desktop or laptop. Not every iOS user is using their iOS device near to a desktop setup. So, you know, I mean, for me, it's a right ball ache, because very often I make music, not in the studio here, but in the house. You know, when I'm looking after the kids or whatever, and they're sort of, you know, behaving themselves reasonably well. You know, I can get on my iPad and put my headphones on and make a bit of music. And if I've got a controller with me, and I decide, oh, I'd like this button to do this, but well, now I need to go into the studio, switch the computer on, and, you know, arse about. It's a pain. And there are very, very few manufacturers who make appropriate software for iOS. And in fact, I kind of embarrassed myself slightly because when they sent me this, I thought, because in the instructions it said that there was software that you could download for the desktop like there usually is. So I downloaded it. And I did a search on the App Store to see if they'd made appropriate software for iOS. And there were no results. So when I replied to Synido to let them know what I thought of the pad, I said, you know, it's really good. It's got a lot of great features. I like a lot of things about it. But it's held back by the same thing that holds back all other devices like this. It's got no software for iOS. And we have to fanny about, you know. And I didn't say fanny about. I hope. I might have said pissy pants about. I'm not sure. Anyway. They simply replied to me with a link to the App Store. And there it was. Now, it had actually been a couple of weeks from me searching the App Store to actually contacting Synido. So maybe it arrived in that time. Or maybe it was already there and I'm a stupid old hippie. But in this case, I'm very glad to be wrong because it's great. So let me see now. If I just grab that mouse from over there. Now, if I just go on my desktop a moment, and I wasn't planning to do this, but right. So is it opening up? Right. Yeah, it is. Okay. So if I go to this view over here, there. Right, okay. So you can see there on my desktop, on my computer, there's the software that comes with the desktop version. And it's what you'd expect from this kind of controller. If you've ever had this kind of controller before, you know, you can go in here, you can change your CC numbers, and you can go in and change the color of each pad and all that stuff for all three banks like this, etc., etc. And then here's, if you go to function, there's where you've got control over your groups and stuff, and the other function where it's a keyboard, right? So great, fantastic. But then when they sent me this link, I found that you can get the same thing on the iPad. So let's just have a look at the iPad screen. And if I just swipe up like this, here we are, look. Come out of that screen there and just show you from the start. Right. So it's actually cooler than the desktop version. Hey Michael, thanks for joining us, man. It's actually cooler than the desktop version. It looks cooler. So all you do, you go in here, right, and then you've got bank A, B, and C, and you can, apparently not with mouse, but with my finger, I can scroll up. So here's where we would change the colours of the pads. Well, let's just do that now. Let me just show you that. So I need that on screen and this on screen. Yes. Okay. So let's change one. I'll come out of that mode and I'll go to pad bank. Now let's make this one that's currently green. Let's make it pink. Hey Zach, thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for being here. So I would want, let's see now, third row down, second one across. 1, 2, 3. I want that one to be pink. So let's look at the one above. I'll just look at the numbers here. Actually, no, that's not right. I want to be on bank B. Okay, there we go. Right, so that's Okay. I'm looking at the wrong one, aren't I? Oh, I know. Wait a minute. I need to do this. I need to press this. There. Get from hardware. That's right. So that will take us back to all the settings that I'm currently using. Idiot. Right. Now I go here. Go to Bank B. And if I click here. Right. So this row here, I've started making them pink. 2540254. Right. We'll go down to the third one down. Press here. In fact, I'll just drag it over to the pink. It's really awkward to do with the mouse. That's close enough. Right. Save that. And then if I go to center device, now look here. You should see this change to pink. Center hardware. There we go. Right. And now that pad is pink. And I, you know, it's a simple thing, but for me that works really, really well. Because like when I was doing that jam earlier, you know, I know what pink is. I know when I press pink, that's going to be the Uno synth. When I press yellow, that's going to be the B1. It just works great for live performance stuff. I think it's ace. Right? Now, there's nothing in this iOS software here that you can't change, that you can't adapt like you can in the desktop software. In here, you can change everything for the knobs, for the 3 banks. And down here, you can change stuff for the transport controls. So now, when I use controllers, I tend to be mapping stuff. I'm used to the iOS way of, you know, like in AUM, where you want to map something to a function, and you press on it, you press learn, and then you move the knob, and it teaches it like that. But if you like to do it by setting your CC numbers and everything, you can do all of that from this software. So I think that, coupled with the extra USB-C port for the stable power situation, makes this the best device of its kind for an iOS user. And it's also great for a desktop user. Just come out of this software now, I think. And we'll go back to AUM. Right, now, one point was, when I advertised this stream, this one guy, I think it was on Reddit, said that he looked at this controller, and the thing that had put him off was the fact that you couldn't power it with the iPad. Well, it's not that you cannot power it with the iPad. It's not that you can't plug it into a hub either. It's just that having that extra output that goes straight into the mains just gives you that stability. And I like that quality about it. I guess it's not for everyone, but it works for me. So let me see now. Have I missed anything? We've still got the transport controls to talk about. I've covered all those things. Right. Okay. So let's go like this, right? So if I go... Now, wait a minute. Am I missing something? No, I'm not. Right. Okay. I'm coming out of here. Now I've got my long list of AUM projects here. And there we go. Tempo pad. Right. So this is the project that I was using earlier. I'll just give you a quick look at what there is. And I want to mention while I'm here, something that's quite a common discussion in the iOS forums is people who like to make music in a DAW-less kind of way. A lot of those people are fans of AUM for obvious reasons, and people who like to make music in that way, when they're looking for a piano roll, you know, they'll be in forums asking, you know, which piano roll do you use? Which one do you recommend? Which one's the best? And there's quite a few things to choose from. Atom 2 is particularly good. Helium's great. There are others. But I always say to people, if you really want to do that, if you really want to sequence MIDI in a DAWless way on iOS, and you want to have lots of options, lots and lots of possibilities, you want LK. Now, LK seems to be a little bit daunting to a lot of people. A lot of people said, oh, it looks so confusing, and well, when I first looked at it, I had not got a clue what was going on. I found it really intimidating. But as soon as I started digging in, it's so obvious and it's so brilliant. And I made a video on it, a long video going into lots of detail about it a couple of years ago. And it's actually one of my most viewed videos. Hey Gerald, thanks for being here, man. Hope you're well. And now LK's been updated quite a bit since then, so I'm tempted to do another stream, maybe showing people all about LK and how it works, and showing some of the new features off and stuff. So if that's something that you would like to see, then let me know, because I honestly believe that if that's your bag, let me just get comfortable. If that's your bag, DAWless sequencing in AUM, then LK is the very thing, right? So when I was having that little jam at the beginning, I was using, if I just use my mouse as a pointer, right? So I've got drums, I've got bass, I've got 2 synths, and I've got 2 external synths. Let's go here, right? So I'm using Rusemaker FM for my drums. I'm using all the multi-bus outs. And then I've got King of Bass for that bass sound. 2 instances of DRC, my favourite synth of all, for 2 synth sounds, obviously. And then this is my reverb bus. Let's just move that to the end. And then here, this is my Donna B1 coming into AUM, and this is the Uno synth. If I press a note on Donna B1, you'll see that there. And on the Uno synth, right, and I'm able to sequence all of that with LK, and of course trigger all of those scenes with these pads. It's absolutely awesome. So I'm going to go back to LK, and I'm just going to show you how I mapped it, because it's just so easy to do. Does anyone at all in the chat use LK? Because I kind of feel that this piece of software, which I am literally just scratching the surface of here, there's so much you can do with this. You can use it standalone. It particularly that works particularly well if you're using a lot of external synth stuff. It has it's got its own set of MIDI pads. It's got, these are like controllers you can program to adjust whatever parameters. It's got an XY pad, which is a lot of fun to piss pants around with. It's got chord pads. I made a video jamming with those that turned out really, really well, and it's on keyboard. When you download it, I think it still works in the same way. It's actually free, but you pay to unlock these extra features, which is fair, because you might not actually need all of them. Right, you're going to use Gadget with yeah, I've done that. And Gadget's great. It's got some phenomenal sounds in it, and it's and using Tapai, if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, that it works great. I did a video all about doing that. Superb. But I don't think it's as versatile as using LK, and there's a lot less piss-panting around with LK because, of course, it's an AV3. And Gadget, just isn't. And they don't really seem to be doing a lot with it at the moment, which is disappointing. Okay, anyway, right, so let's not get onto that. I'll just show you this. So what I did was, I wanted my pads to control these scenes in LK because it's a clip launcher, right? If I press over here, right, when I press that, it launches everything in this lane. But what I can do is I can select by pressing stop on the ones I don't want to play down here, and I can start off with just one. Now I could press the pad that I've MIDI mapped to this pad to start it off, but I've also mapped the transport controls. Right, so I can press play and stop. Now when I'm editing the MIDI, if I want to move along to the next instrument, I can use these controls here to move between them, and I can do that also with these forward and back buttons that are mapped on this controller. This gives you the ability, whilst you're actually performing a jam, you could actually go in and edit something. It's also got a loop control, which you don't really need in a clip launcher. So that I don't think I actually mapped that, but obviously very useful in most digital audio workstations. Would be nice if Apple gave us an update for Logic Pro for iPad, so that we could use a controller like this with transport controls, like we can in Cubasis. Type A. You think that's the right way to say it? Type A. Okay, I'll go with that because I've got no clue, no idea. Right, and it's got a record button as well. Because while you are jamming in LK, if you are, if you're using an instrument like this to play something in, or using one of these things in LK to play something in, you can record that as you go. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take that risk because this kind of live clip launching jamming thing is really not me. All right, so I think I've told you everything there is to know about this controller, especially relating to iOS. So I'm trying to think. I really don't think I've missed anything. If anyone has any questions about it whatsoever, then let me know in the chat. Now, let's see. There's a lag between me saying that and you hearing it, and then you replying and me seeing it in the chat. So what am I going to do? Am I going to sit here like a pleb? Am I going to sit here like a pleb and wait? I suppose I may have to now, because I think, other than having a little jam to play you out with, I think that I've covered everything. Yeah, so that's me sitting here like a pleb. All right, okay, so yeah, it does. It does look sweet, doesn't it? It is. It's pretty cool. Right. I'll tell you what I should mention to you actually before I bugger off. Right, I mapped this knob up here, this one, right, the top left knob. I mapped that to the reverb on my B1. So if I just press a note on the B1 here, right, and you'll see just here, look, the reverb send going up. And I mapped this knob. I mapped this knob to inside of the Mooga Fooga. I mapped it to the feedback control just here. So play a note on the Uno synth, bring up the feedback. Careful. And I mapped this knob, this one, to the reverb send for the Uno synth. You don't even have AUM yet. Well, do you know? AUM, it's like, it's just a great playground. It's a great thing to have to, for, you know, when you just got an app and you're experimenting, or when you just feel like just throwing some music together, when you don't feel like, you know, sitting down and working on a massive project or starting a new track off or anything, just experimenting with some things and just jamming. It's phenomenal, but it can do so many other things, you know. It's great for live performance. It's great for connecting to external stuff. It's just, the possibilities are endless, because at the end of the day, when you open it up, it's blank. And all you've got is this little plus in the middle of the screen. And so you go to the plus and you decide, what are you doing? Are you importing some audio? Are you adding an audio track or a MIDI track? Let's say if we go to add audio track, right? And then I go and click up here. And then you see all the things I can add. I can add an app, an input, a file player, a mix bus, you know, so many things. And so it's like a mixing desk that becomes whatever you want it to be. And my mouse is shit. There we go. Right. It makes life bloody hard, but it's 20 quid and I can do what I need in Cubasis, but it's more work. Oh, Michael says you use 8 Matrix. It's like the VCS3 grid, but for audio mixing. Yeah, you know, I never got 8 Matrix. I looked at it. I remember Dave, Davy Poo. I remember, because Davy Poo don't seem to make YouTube videos anymore, but he made a lot of great iOS videos a few years ago. And I remember looking at his demo of it and thinking, yeah, that looks ace, but I just got AUM and I was happy with AUM. I've never gone and checked it out. But I believe it... Sorry, let me just get comfy. I believe it basically does the same kind of job. Does it do anything that AUM doesn't do? If it does, tell me in the chat. Right, so anyway, I've not got any questions coming in about the tempo pad, so I'm taking it that I've covered everything beautifully and I've done a great job. If you think of something later that you'd like to ask me about, you can always contact me. All my contact information is down below the video, where you will find links where you can get money off DistroKid membership. Certain things that I've demonstrated, you can get a bit of money off. I've got a couple of affiliate links for 1 or 2 things, and all the things that you can do to help the channel if you feel like you'd like to do so, and links to other great YouTubers as well. Right, so what I'm going to do is it can do infinite feedback loops if you click away all the warnings. Only question, dude, is do the knobs change function with the change in bank? No, they work exactly the same way. It's like these are, knobs 1 through 4, and you press the bank, and it becomes knobs 5 through 8, and then 9 through 12. Listen to me with the maths. So they do exactly the same thing. Oh, and I have thought of something I missed. These knobs are actually the endless encoders, I think is the correct term for them. They're the kind that they just keep turning. So, which works well when it's basically, this is knob number 4, and then I press knob bank, and that's now knob number 8, and then it becomes knob number 12. So it doesn't have to be reset. It doesn't have a 0 through 10. It just starts wherever you left it. It is slightly notched, so you can feel if you're trying to turn something by minute degrees, you can feel slight notches as you turn it. So anyway, yes, so I did miss something, so thank you very much for the question. Right, so I'm going to clear off now. I'm going to have a little jam, though, before I end the stream. I'm going to try and make a slightly better job of the jam than I did opening it up. I probably won't, but, if it all falls apart and it's all just disastrous and terrible, then that's great, too, because you can just laugh at me in the chat, and you will not offend me. I will be laughing with you. So I'll just set this up. So until next time, what am I doing next time? I actually don't know when I'm streaming again. It may very well be Thursday lunchtime UK time. I need to get onto demonstrating the Moog apps, so it will probably be that. It'll be something to do with the Mooga Fugas. Might start off by demonstrating them in a fairly simple way, just with the guitar, what they would sound like if they were used as just basic effects. I'll be doing way more than just one stream with them because there's so much to show. There's so much to cover. So I might start off by streaming the simple like that, and then we'll have a look at how they connect together and stuff in later streams. I think that's it. Okay. Right, so anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care of yourselves and be good and be kind and make lots of music and try not to piss your pants about. I'll see you later.